Hello everyone, my name is Pocho, and welcome back to Eternal Brews. We are here today, by popular request, to discuss a Knucklebones deck and sort of view my personal take on Knucklebones and some of the ways that you can build a good deck out of it. So, if you don't know what Knucklebones is, it is this card right here. The card is Summon, transform each card in your deck into a random card. At the start of your turn, you get to draw an additional card for every card that basically, well, yeah, at the start of your turn, you just get to draw 2 cards. So your entire deck gets completely replaced, including all of the power cards, by new, more valuable cards that are probably pretty bad. Like, there's definitely going to be some good ones in there. It's going to be an odd mix of legendaries. It's going to be all 5 colors. Because the transform effect happens, and transformed cards in Eternal do not maintain influence requirements, you'll be able to play every card that you draw. And in addition, you're not going to be drawing any power anymore, so Knucklebones means you don't get power screwed. You draw a bunch of cards, and you get to play a bunch of cards. The disadvantage is that you have no plan, and that can be a little bit rough. So you really have to adapt on the fly and figure out what the best type of card is. These types of decks are really good if you want to get a handle on all of the different cards in Eternal and try playing with a bunch of different combos. Like, you can play cards like these with Nyx Attracting Control and other things where you just get a big idea of like all of the different types of cards that you can play with. It's a good way to experiment, a good way to play with cards that you can't get access to. And so it's generally a nice archetype to build around if you're just trying to build a deck on the cheap. And in this case, I only have 2 Knucklebones, so we are building this deck pretty closely on the cheap. The take that I have opted for this one is, so to some extent, the deck that contains Knucklebones, what it has up to the point where you have Knucklebones doesn't specifically matter. You have to get to a safe spot where you can cast Knucklebones. And after that, it's really entirely your game. So, like, if the deck can do that, if it can get to the point where it can cast a 7-cost red-blue relic, then you're in pretty good shape. So the first thing that I thought of immediately was the Praxis deck with a little bit of blue in it. Typically for Scouting Party, this deck works very well with Moment of Creation as your normal topper, and we'll probably talk about that version of the deck sometime very shortly. But here's the basic idea behind it. What we are doing is we are establishing a bunch of tokens to stymie aggro decks and get ourselves like a lot of extra value. We are laying down relics. We want relics because relics secure permanent advantage beyond our current set of cards, meaning that every relic that we play actually continues to persist on the board and assist us as we play out all of our Knucklebones transformed cards. So I'm using cards like Xenan Obelisk, and I'm using Vault of the Praxis to draw even more cards and get like a significant amount of extra advantage out of just playing a bunch of random junk out of my hand every turn. In addition, I have a lot of cards that trigger Vault of the Praxis and behave very well with Xenan Obelisk, so that if I don't draw Knucklebones, I can just play those cards and typically get a very good board presence and probably a winning position. We run Grenadin Drone, Assembly Line, Humbug Swarm, Marisen's Disciple, and Scouting Party, all to generate multiple units all at once, and then to buff them up with Xenan Obelisk or draw cards to just outscale our opponent with Vault of the Praxis. With these relics down, we can have a really good time just sort of setting up and getting everything put together. Humbug Swarm defends very well against a lot of the flyer decks, which is really, really nice. Works very well with Xenan Obelisk. I found this card to be really effective and a pretty solid Omen's card in general. Like, I kind of poo-pooed it a little bit when we talked about it before, but I think it is very reasonably strong. Like, it works pretty well with the Xenan Obelisk. It's nice against those Westwind Herald decks. It often answers flyers in a way that some removal does not, and when you're seeing a lot of Aegis flyers, Humbug Swarm is a really good answer to that. So we also stabilize a little bit with Lumen Defenders, and we run one particular card that I really want to point out, which is Voice of the Speaker and Find the Way, or 2 particular cards, I guess, as the case may be. So Voice of the Speaker gives power cards Echo, and Find the Way allows us to draw sigils of our choice from our deck, which are depleted when played. I really like these cards. I really like Find the Way in general as a really big value card, so it always draws you 2 cards that you actually can play. Like, 2 power is always better than just drawing 1 power. Obviously, the disadvantage is that you lose some amount of tempo as a result. But typically, it's really nice to be able to set this up, and if you're playing with a lot of power, Find the Way tends to help you out in getting that power into your deck. It also works well with Voice of the Speaker, which is a card that gives all your power cards Echo. It means you draw more undepleted power, as well as more depleted power off of Find the Way. The reason that we really want these cards in here is because Knucklebones replaces all of the power in your deck, meaning that you don't really have any additional push. Now, you're drawing those cards, so it's pretty okay. You'll be able to play at least one of them a turn, and possibly both of them each turn. But since you play Knucklebones at 7, the chance that you're actually going to draw additional power is very rare. Sometimes you'll get a Rakano banner, sometimes you'll get, I think, a seat. I'm not sure if it'll actually morph basic power cards. I haven't seen them, and I certainly haven't been able to search them out with any of the power-searching cards that I've gotten off of Knucklebones. But I know that you can get banners, and I know that you can get any card that's in the boosters. So yeah, Knucklebones has some potential, but the main problem is that you are very power hungry, and you need to be in a position where you can actually play those cards, especially if Knucklebones draws you, you know, like 3 8 of the Hurus in a row, in which case, yeah, that's going to be kind of an issue, something you're really going to want to do. Alright, so that's it for the intro. Let's just play the deck and see how it feels. Alright, we are opening up against Mean Bob, and my starter hand... it does have Secret Pages in it. That's a card I forgot to mention as we went out of the intro. That card helps you ramp up to Knucklebones, which is really nice in some situations. It's also good for getting your early Obelisks with, or early Vaults of the Praxis with a card draw. You can just get a little bit ahead of the curve as a result of playing this card. I find it useful against the slow control decks. I find it useful just to get a step ahead and start playing out your cards faster. You want to redraw here because we don't have yellow. And time is very, very important for this deck. It's just... generally establishes a lot. Okay. And depending on how fast our opponent is, that determines whether or not we want to play Assembly Line on 3 or Assembly Line on 5. My opponent doesn't play a lot, which seems unlikely because he's a Skycrag deck. But he hasn't played anything on 2, so I think if he's got double red and double blue and he hasn't played a Yeti, hasn't played any sort of 1 or 2 drop, we're probably safe to go ahead and sit tight, avoid playing Assembly Line for the turn, and play Vault of the Praxis instead. Yeah, this is a Skycrag control deck. Might even be running Knucklebones itself, although I suspect that might not be the case. We'll see. Seed of Order, that's a little bit of green. Ah, and we got Caldera Cradle. That's a really nice spell to establish. So, Vault of the Praxis here. And then I can Find the Way. Caldera Cradle would actually work okay in this deck. It might even be worth considering just because the extra dragons are really nice. We have almost entirely a spell set deck. Like I said, this deck works very well with Moment of Creation, so you can run that if you want to. I'm not going to do it myself, but or I'm not going to do it for this deck, for this particular version, but I'll probably put a Caldera Cradle in here sometime just to experiment. So let's go ahead and Assembly Line. And Vault of the Praxis will draw us a card, and that'll get us along. Okay, so Scouting Party seems like the obvious next play. I think I'll just have to decide if I'm going to chump block here. I think I'm good. I can take 3 this turn, especially if it means that I'll be able to do a little bit better against the next setup. Let's go ahead and play a Scouting Party. This could get countered, but it looks like we managed. Torches here are pretty necessary. They definitely help out against the deck. I could see some Rock Slides. I could see a 7 cost that deals 3 damage to everything. Probably just block here. Attacking like that makes me think that he perhaps has some answer. Ah, a Harsh Roll. That is indeed an answer. Okay, so Voice of the Speaker allows us to draw a little bit of power. I'm not quite ready to Celestial Omen for Knucklebones yet. I want to get a little bit more power into the deck and basically just play out a few more cards. Alright. So we'll play a Grenadin drone here. Play that Primal Sigil. And now I have 3 torches, which is enough to kill at least 1 dragon. The Caldera Cradle is ticking. Fire Sigil has happened, and Trailblaze Echo seems like a pretty good deal. We'll see what the top card of his deck is. Alright, I have 8 power right now, so I'm pretty happy to go for Knucklebones at this point, especially with Find the Way giving me a little bit more. Let's play the Depleted Fire. And we will attack. Oh, that's a little bit that's a little bit risky, since if he has a spell he can block with a dragon, but I think we'll be okay. So we'll end our turn. I'm going to Celestial Omen for the Knucklebones next turn. And I might have to spend one more turn just doing stuff. Okay, I don't really want to get hit by a 5/5 dragon, so we could probably spend one more turn just being our good old selves. Trailblaze gets the top card or the bottom card, potentially gets him a counter spell. Looks like we get the dragon. Okay. That's good news. Unfortunately, it does mean I can't Celestial Omen this turn, which is fine, because we're just gonna pull a bunch of power. Grab a Fire Sigil. Play the Fire Sigil. End my turn with the Celestial Omen for Knucklebones. There it is. Alright, for our last trick, we're going to find the way. Grab a time. And I'm going to play an undepleted card so that I can get a card out of Knucklebones immediately. We're going to Knucklebones. Play a Primal Sigil. And Grenadin Drone. I could have even Grenadin Drone before I Knucklebones, just to get like a different card. But I think that works out pretty well. So a Stone Scar Maul, which was not in my deck, we now have. And that'll give my Torches Overwhelm, which is a pretty nice deal, I would say. Valerian Cradle's a big one. Oh, Seek Power is not that good, but Flame Stoker seems pretty okay. I think I like that one just fine. So we'll go ahead and stoke the fire. That is an extremely nice noise. Seek Power, as you can see, can't find anything, so we'll just play a depleted Time Sigil. And I can't actually make an extra unit this turn, so I'll attack for 1. How many Cradles are there? 2? What's the count on both of them? 2 and 3. I think we're good. Okay, we're counting up to dragons. One of them's within 1 turn of getting one. Yep, there we go. So we're gonna get a dragon here. And I'm gonna draw 2 cards. Hopefully I'll draw some good ones. Obliterate hurts quite a bit. I don't have that many ways to gain life in the deck, obviously. Start our turn. Air Trigger Stranger's cute. I made it an Infernus, which is good. I found a Stone Scar banner, which is also pretty useful. Attack for 5 here. Going to generate a Humbug Swarm. Play a Stone Scar banner so I have 1 extra power. Cabal Rogue's pretty nice. I could play it right now to start pushing extra damage. That doesn't seem bad. But I think I need to get rid of one of these guys so that I have better blocks. Alright, so I've got 1 dragon to chump block. I've got a Cabal Rogue and a Hair Trigger Stranger to play. And I think we're going to be doing okay for a little bit. Obliterate, that's a big deal. Not much we can do about that. Neither of these cradles are actually ticking up, so we're going to block, and torch. And now I just have to live, which is not as easy as it looks. Vara's Favor seems pretty good for that. The Infernus is really solid. Champion of Order copies itself, which is kind of nice. 7 and 5. Vara's Favor gets me 1 higher, which actually doesn't save me at all, so I'll go Cabal Rogue, Champion of Order. Ooh, I should have played Xenan Destroyer, actually. The draw there, I forgot about it. Okay, Xenan Destroyer may save me here, but mostly I just have to win. Alright. And we made it. Just barely. I think my opponent probably had 1 good turn left to draw Obliterate, but that still worked out pretty well. Alright, so we see Polygon running who knows what. Seat I've got a Seek Power, so I can get another yellow if I want to. Or I could go for the Assembly Line, and that would get me some bonus as well. The Knucklebones is not that important in the early hand. I think 3 power is still good enough, though, so we'll keep it. We'll play the Seat here. I think I'm going to avoid seeking power for 1 turn to see if I can draw a red. Or if I draw a yellow, I can seek power for a red. Alright, we'll seek power for a red, yeah. Which makes sense, because I've got another yellow already, so it's fine. For some reason I was thinking that I needed to seek for double red, but no, I'm just getting confused with my old Claw of the First Dragon deck. Seek power here is pretty nice. I don't have to play it this turn, but I think I will, actually. We're going to set up Vault of the Praxis since we're up against a slower Argenport deck of some kind. Vault of the Praxis is pretty good at securing, basically, other cards. Stone Shaker's unusual here. I'm not sure what to make of that. I think we want to Vault here. And now I can Assembly Line. I understand Stone Shaker in most Warp decks. This card is very unusual in a Revenge deck. But it looks like we did okay. So let's play Voice of the Speaker and Assembly Line. And we drew an Echoed Seat of Fury, which means we have enough to cast Knucklebones. Good stuff. Stonepetter Alchemist is a card that gains health and keeps you alive. Quite a lot of health, in fact. But I don't know what this deck is doing yet. So we're seeing... We're probably going to play Assembly Line again, and then we can play Lumen Defender to gain some health and stabilize a little bit more. Okay, Grenadin Drone helps too. If I could play them both, I would. I think I'll just go Assembly Line here, since then I can Lumen Defender Grenadin Drone to draw a card. Drew more Echoed Power. Can't quite get Knucklebones out this turn, so we'll just stay put. My opponent thinks that I am a big tokens deck, so that's really helping the situation, since he's trying to stay defensive as opposed to attacking. Whereas what I'm actually doing is I'm defending myself. So I want to be in a very healthy position to play Knucklebones. Give Glory into Harsh Rule. And Voice of the Speaker after Lumen Defender is pretty good, or I could just play Lumen Defender and Grenadin Drone. I think I've Voice of the Speaker, Grenadin Drone seems right. I'm probably not quite ready to play Knucklebones yet. I want to see if I can establish one more relic. But we might do it. So this guy is definitely chunking at us a little bit. Rise to the Challenge is really interesting. I don't know what that could be. This could be an armory deck, but what are you looking for? Like a cheaper Icaria? A cheaper Icaria sounds pretty likely. I don't have an answer to Icaria, so I think I'm going to play Knucklebones and just see what I can get. Maybe he got a Furnace Mage too. That's a possibility. If he got a Furnace Mage, we're dead. Knucklebones is not a deck that really responds very well to. Okay, went for a Crown Watch Press Gang. Okay, so the idea is to make stuff cheap and then play it off with Crown Watch Press Gang. Which is fine. We can deal with that. Attacking with everything or just Piercing Grief? I think Piercing Grief I can block. Okay, so Revenge, Crown Watch, Press Gang stuff is what we're going for. Perfect sense. Grinvood, Judge of Battle seems like a pretty good one. That's a decent Knucklebones draw, I'd say.
You will be judged.
Good big old unit to hold down the fort for me. Secret Pages isn't going to pull anything, so you can't really do anything with that. I've got a Torch and a Vanquish, which means I have good answers. That's fine. I'm pretty happy just killing Crown Watch Press Gang here. I'm probably killing this too. I'm not going to draw power anymore, so... Huh, and he actually killed the drone instead of the voice. Not sure why. Okay, Valkyrie Enforcer holds down the fort a little bit. Rise to the Challenge gets him probably a Revenge unit. Or maybe he gets a Destiny card out of that. Lightning Storm's not that helpful. Trickster's Cloak is pretty okay. I can probably just go Trickster's Cloak here. Secret Pages, as you can see, doesn't hit anything. I don't think that Knucklebones can morph basic power. It's possible. Oops, we messed up. Alright, Piercing Grief triggers. So that's 3 life gained. My opponent's already looking pretty healthy. I need to find some answers to this Valkyrie Enforcer. I got another Crown Watch Press Gang, which means another 1-cost Piercing Grief. Or a Copperhull Bailiff. No, Copperhull Bailiff doesn't do it. Okay, so what do we got here? Noble Firemane's pretty cute. I can go Hate Cleaver Lumen Defender, which is pretty good. I like that option. End my turn. Did I actually play the Lumen Defender first? I may have screwed that up. Tranquil Scholar giving abilities. I actually got Revenge. That's gross. Okay. On the other hand, he can't really give Revenge to any of his current Revenge units, so that probably works out for me. Just you attacking. How do I feel about blocking here? I think I feel pretty okay about it. I'm gonna have to vanquish this, but... Gunpowder Heretic. There's a Cannoneer right here, which is pretty good, because I can Lightning Storm Cannoneer.
Ooh, that's got some kick.
That leaves me in better shape. Stonepowder Heretic is nice too, but I like the option with the warp.
Look inward.
We're being awfully conservative with our removal because I expect I'm going to have to use a lot of it. This deck appears to have basically a ton of threats. Killer Scholars is a big deal, especially on Piercing Grief. I think he might ram both of them into the Lumen Defender here. Seems like the only way to go, actually. Alright, we're not worried about Copperhull Bailiff just yet, so let's go ahead and play out some other units. Ooh, Accelerate, I like it. Yeah, okay, so if I play Noble Firemane and Lethrai Ranger, I get to draw a card. Abyssor Patriarch makes dinosaurs cheaper, which I don't need right now. I'll just obliterate. Knock that out. And swing for 5. That means I'll have to chump block the next Destiny unit that comes around, but... Okay, Crown Watch Press Gang is going to pick up some sort of 2-cost unit that's now a 1-cost unit. All of his 1-cost units are unpickable at this point, so... He's definitely opting for, like, yeah, this deck is really cool. I've actually been meaning to build this particular version of the deck with Rise to the Challenge for a single Stone Shaker, and then you just set up, like, 1 power. It's nice. Cool to see somebody else innovating. Alright, Piercing Grief. That's got Killer again. how did that get killer? Oh, because it was already in the deck. Got it. Okay. So you get to kill something. I was gonna accelerate Stonepatter Heretic, but I think Avasaur Stonepatter might just do it. Good old Gunslinger Oni. So the premium cards that I have are transformed into random premiums, which is funny because I have no idea what it was before. Dark Return gets back probably another killer unit? I think he might be forgetting that he can't attack with his current unit, but Stonepatter Alchemist does get a little bit of damage in.
Another late night.
Okay. Toot toot. This deck's pretty fun. Voyaging Lumen, if I gain life, gain a Wisp. I can't currently do that, but if we Vanquish, and then Awakened Student, Stonepatter Heretic.
Not every weapon needs a blade.
Found a Crown Watch Cavalry, which is pretty cool. Attack for 5. Now, as you can see, I'm actually drawing more cards than I can currently play, but that is one of the things that we're trying to do. We're actually trying to filter out some of these bad cards. And of course, you can Knucklebones later in the game when you're feeling a little bit more confident in your relics. I've currently got just a Vault, which is not my favorite thing. Oh, that's unblockable. Yeah, that's a problem.
Make each bullet count.
Okay. He's got a reasonable amount of stuff here to help him out. Let's go ahead and Eye of Winter that. And then I can Crown Watch Cavalry something, probably this guy. Attack with both of those. Double that guy's attack this turn. Makes him a pretty target, but I think it works out pretty well. Not sure why everything sort of blacked out there, but we'll live with it. And my turn. Stunning the Unblockable Scholar gives me a little bit more gas, but these Stonepatter Alchemists are actually giving us some issues. Clever Stranger got drawn. Now my Strangers have Warp, which isn't a big deal here. Evelina gives Dinosaurs in my hand +1/+1. Avasaur Patriarch makes the Dinosaurs cost less. Could also Auric Bully, but I think Avasaur Patriarch is pretty good here. Got a Stone Scar Banner, which gives me a little more power to play. That's really useful. Stun this again. And now we're starting to look at a pretty sizable deck. Swing with all 3 of these. Or maybe just these 2. Yeah, we're just building out as much as we can. We're gonna probably throw Noble Firemane at him in a bit here. But I actually have to be in a position to really leverage it. Crown Watch Press Gang can get more 1 costs. The 1 costs are actually 2 costs. I'm not sure what he's going to pick up now. Piercing Griefs again. Just block there. And the animations aren't playing for some reason, but we're doing pretty okay. Trailblaze allows me to get some pretty decent value out of this, but I actually really like Accelerate on Bereaved Stranger, since that gives me health. Let's just play Bereaved Stranger. And a Piercing Grief, not bad. There's a Heart of the Vault on top of my deck, which I can't actually play this turn, but I think I'm okay with that. Go ahead and cycle. And Piercing Grief's gonna help us out on the life problem. Oh, I forgot to unstun. And he actually managed to draw a Crown Watch Press Gang back immediately, which means even more Piercing Griefs. Or more of these Tranquil Scholars. I have the pretty significant advantage now, so if I just activate my Noble Firemane twice, I probably can just push in for not quite lethal, but enough bang for my buck. Like, I'd get the 2 strangers with lifesteal. I kind of want to play Piercing Grief first, but there's also that issue of, like, Piercing Grief is not quite the card I need here. Voyaging Lumen plays Wisps, which are really useful in this deck. Okay, everything's just playing out at once for some reason, so that's an issue, but it's not too big a deal. I don't think he wants to attack into my Stranger, because I just get lifesteal there. Maybe he has a torch or something. I actually gained more off of that attack than I lost. Dark Return gets back something with Destiny. What has Destiny? What's worth Destinying? Oh, Killer Lifesteal Piercing Grief. Okay, that'll keep him alive. Also already works on the Bereaved Stranger. Wait, what? Did you go for the Combre Stranger? Why? Oh, I'm so confused. Like, this guy's the big threat. Assumably. Heart of the Vault here. And I'll torch that. Piercing Grief looks good. And now I can swing with these guys. Most of these guys if I want to. Probably just these guys. So I get a little bit... Yeah, I'm really out of sync here. We're going to Trailblaze. Great Parliament seems like a good top deck. So we'll keep it and draw it. Especially since it automatically activates everything. I think I win if I just activate the Firemane now, though. Unless he manages to pull more lifesteal, which he certainly could. Stonepetter Alchemist gets more lifesteal. Slowly stabilizing. He's got kind of an endless cycle of these guys, but he's got to run out of juice eventually. He doesn't seem to have any sort of way to infinite combo it. Something's going on here. I want to kill the client real quick and rejoin. So let's do that real quick, guys. Oh, never mind. T forfeited. Alright, that was a fun game. Knucklebones decks are ridiculous. That is really all there's to say about Knucklebones decks. Alright, so our opener has Volt of the Praxis and Humbug Swarm, and I'm kind of sold on that. We'll keep it. That's not amazing, but I think I like it well enough. Playing up against Polygon again. He's probably playing his weirdo Praxis deck. Seek power there, okay. Lumen Defender's in here, so I think that's pretty good. It's possible at this point he's run a Furnace Mage. We'll see if he has that. Tranquil Scholar. That's a good early card. And Aegis is not a bad skill, although I certainly don't care about it, because we are building a deck that's specifically designed to be defensive against Aegis units. I'm kind of expecting a lot of Huru, so having like Humbug Swarm to lock down the board and Lumen Defender to hold things is... I feel a little bit better. What are we up to, Polygon? Seed of Fury looks good here. I should play the double time, of course, so Seed of Wisdom and then time. And then I can Volt the Praxis, then I can Humbug Swarm. You know, like, it's a slow process, but the right process. Stone Shaker. All your 2-drops now available. Seed of Wisdom here. I'm going to go ahead and play Volt the Praxis. Try to set up with that. I suppose I could Marisen's Disciple here instead. I feel like taking this much is not too bad as part of our setup, though. Rise the Challenge gets... Oh man, what does it get? If he goes for recurring... If he goes for Piercing Grief, Bolt of the Praxis is wrong. If he went for the just get a 1-drop, then I think Bolt of the Praxis is fine. We'll see which one it ends up being. Could be Stone Scar Alchemist, could be Piercing Grief. Not Piercing Grief, might be Stone Powder. Mocto, okay. Well, we can deal with that. We'll Humbug Swarm. That should hold him for a bit. Follow that up with another Humbug Swarm or a Marisen's.
Make each bullet count.
Stone Powder Alchemist has that fun little ability there. I think I'll go for a Marisen's Disciple here since that gives me a little better draw. Play a power. And we're just gonna keep holding on to the board. Okay, so block here, block here, block here. Ignore the Piercing Grief because that's gonna die anyways. Taking 3, but managing the board okay. A lot of extra damage here. Stone Powder Alchemist is certainly no fun. Either is Piercing Grief, but Mocto is not in any immediate threat. So we'll Humbug Swarm here. That draws me a card, and I can Seek Power here to grab a little bit more. I've got 7, so I can Lumen Defender and then play Secret Pages for 8, or I can Humbug Swarm and play Secret Pages for 8. All I need now is the actual real Knux. Scouting Party's great here. I'll go ahead and swing for 2, why not? Get a little bit of damage on him and start helping myself out. There's a lot of damage currently in the deck, so we have to be careful, but Scouting Party should be good next. He hasn't drawn his revenge units yet. He hasn't really gotten started on that entire pile. Inquisitor Mocto is definitely a scary card, but we're not too afraid of it. If I ever end up running into too many like big threats that I need to deal with, the card probably to run here is the 1/4 that gives silence.
You're in the Crown Watch now.
Yep, Crown Watch Press Gang probably grabs Recurring Nightmares, or Piercing Griefs, or yeah, I could grab any number of things.
Rule number 1.
Ah, Tinker Overseer, interesting. I'm curious what the plan is there. Okay, we can now draw cards with Grenadin Drone next turn, so that feels pretty good. And also, he might be inclined to be defensive this time around.
This ends now.
Indeed he is. Okay. There's a bunch of revenge cards I gotta deal with in his deck. Let's find the way first, just to pull the cards out.
Time heals all.
Then we'll play Lumen Defender and Grenadin Drone to defend our board. Celestial Omen's perfect. I can use that to grab Knux. Piercing Grief doesn't hurt me at all here. Just gains him a little health. Or I guess a lot of health, if you got Rapid Shot. Such as it is. Okay, play a power here. I've got more than enough power to go ahead and go into the Knux.
There is no escape. Make each bullet count.
So I could go for an answer to Mokto, but I think it's much better to get Nux. Because I just do not have anything to set up. Okay, Knucklebones, bolt the Praxis, and good luck. We've got like one turn to stabilize. So, here we go. Block. Block. Draw me some flyers. A secret pages, huh? Well, execute works. I'm gonna keep trying secret pages just to see if I can ever draw a regular Sigil. I'm still pretty sure that you can't actually pull one, but always good to test. Okay, Stone Petal Alchemist is a big deal. The more of those that I hit, the more I have to actually get some other type of spell going on. Champion of Vengeance plus Eilyn's Favor.
Winds protect me.
Play a power here, why not? Crown Watch Press Gang is more defense. And if he picks out the Piercing Grief, he can almost kill me. Champion of Vengeance is unfortunately outside of our current reach. We don't have any amount of influence that we can run into this. It doesn't get any bonuses. I assume he goes for Piercing Grief here, but he could try Overseer to try and push a little bit more consistent damage. He also drew a card. If he finds a Slay, he wins? Slay plus Piercing Grief kills me? Dark Return Piercing Grief also sort of kills me. I guess if you have both. Yeah, we got a block here. Alright, find our stabilization. Lumen Defenders.
Rule number 1, don't drop your tools.
Water of Life. Stone Scar Excavator. Yeah! They can't all be winners. I will stress again that this deck is probably not ladder competitive, but it's quite fun to play, and Knucklebones is definitely a delightful time. So if you want to check it out, it's certainly good stuff. Here's a version of the deck with tokens that runs a bit more spell heavy and uses Moment of Creation as a finisher instead. We also run, of course, Rallies and Talier's Choice to allow us to either refill our tokens board or just give ourselves a big rally to finish off the game. Yeah, the basic idea here is that we have almost all spells, 33 in fact, and that makes Moment of Creation very, very likely to be played for, you know, like around 7 or 8 usually on the first run. Typically runs around like 12 to 13 on the second. Very good value. I think Moment of Creation is a very strong card. We'll probably cover this deck in detail at a later date. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.